In recent years, China's auto market has faced serious challenges. The economy is slowing down, and competition between car companies has become extremely intense. To boost their rankings and market share, many car makers have launched aggressive price wars. In some places, this has led to a strange trend called zero-kilometer used cars. Hundreds of BYD vehicles are parked at a dealership. These cars have already been registered and plated by dealers, just to boost sales numbers, but they haven't been sold to real customers. Most of them have barely been driven. Some still show 0 kilometers. They're basically brand new cars, just labeled as used. Jianjun, chairman of Great Wall Motors, recently exposed a hidden rule in the industry. He pointed out that many used car platforms in China, along with thousands of dealerships, are suspected of faking sales data. His remarks have caused a major stir within the industry. On May 21st, Jianjun said in an interview with Sina Finance,
"Here electric vehicles are losing a lot of money. There's no way to form a substantial business model. Capital has already made its profits, and even some early investors have sold off their shares. So as for the future, everyone is still selling at a loss."
Wei pointed out that the price war has pushed car makers to cut corners. In the end, consumers are the ones who suffer from poor quality. He explained that manufacturers are even cutting costs on safety, durability, and reliability. Some models used to sell for over 220,000 yuan, but now they just go for over 120,000 yuan. He asked what kind of product can drop 100,000 yuan in price and still guarantee the same quality. He said that it's simply not possible. It just means that buyers who think they're getting a bargain may be taking on serious quality risks. Wei also talked about the messy zero-kilometer used car market. These cars are registered as if they've been sold, but then show up again on second-hand platforms. Online platforms have thousands of sellers offering these cars. These cars were never delivered to real buyers. Dealers just transferred them to the used market and sold them again as like new, but at prices 20 to 30% lower than brand new models. This can also affect the warranty coverage. So why do they do it? One reason is to make the sales data look better. It helps companies secure more government subsidies. Also, selling them as used cars allows companies to export them and claim tax rebates. If the numbers look good, investors are happy, stock prices stay strong, and the company can justify increasing production, even if that leads to huge inventory pressure. Jianjun is known in the industry for speaking frankly. In his talk with Sina Finance, he didn't hold back. The zero-kilometer used car loophole has sent shockwaves through China's entire auto sector. On May 27th, China's Ministry of Commerce held an emergency closed-door meeting. They called in representatives from top industry organizations, tech research centers, and car makers like Dongfeng and BYD, as well as second-hand car platforms like Wazi and media companies like Douyin Group. According to Reuters, someone with direct knowledge of the matter said the ministry is meeting with these companies to discuss ways to boost the sales of these unused used cars. Since the meeting is confidential, the person asked to remain anonymous. After the meeting, the stock prices of Chinese automakers like BYD and Leapmotor dropped even further, both falling by 3.1%. The Hang Seng Auto Index in Hong Kong also dropped by more than 2%. China's car market has grown rapidly in recent years, but beneath that surface boom lies a deep crisis. As competition becomes more intense, car makers have been fighting for market share and trying to clear out inventory. Besides the zero-kilometer used car problem, there's now a growing trend of selling cars at a loss, buying high and selling low. The more cars they sell, the more money they lose. The situation has gotten so bad that there's no way out. A senior executive at a domestic car company, who asked not to be named, told Yi Cai that manufacturers are pressuring dealers to accept more inventory than they can actually sell. They use business incentives like sales rebates and financing subsidies to push dealers into buying more cars than they need. Even if a dealership only needs 150 cars a month, the factory might push them to buy 200 or more. As a result, dealers are now stuck with large amounts of unsold inventory. Buying cars at high prices and selling them at lower ones become the norm. Dealers, suppliers, and ordinary consumers are all being dragged into a financial abyss. Inventory is piling up, profits are shrinking, and it's becoming harder to recover payments. This is why so many car dealerships are shutting down. This kind of pressure is devastating. When zero-kilometer used cars hit the market, buyers often see the value of their new car drop sharply right after purchase, and when problems come up, it's unclear who's responsible for repairs. Many consumers have nowhere to turn. This isn't just business competition. It's a slow, destructive collapse of the industry. The scariest part is that this is looking like a giant bubble built on fake sales, government subsidies, and high leverage financing. Once that bubble bursts, ordinary people will be the ones who suffer. Young people are still paying off their car loans, thinking they bought a brand new vehicle. Dealership workers are losing their jobs, and auto parts factories are left without payment. They all become victims of this legalized fraud. This crisis isn't just about BYD. It signals a deeper breakdown of trust in China's manufacturing industry. In the interview, Jianjun also expressed concern about how this crisis could hurt China's efforts to promote its cars overseas. He worries that these integrity issues could damage the global image of Chinese brands. The interview host mentioned an online comment, "If you blow out someone else's light, your own light won't shine any brighter." To that, Wei replied, "It depends on what kind of light it is. If it's a ghost light, I will definitely blow it out." That remark shocked viewers. The comment stirred up a lot of discussion online. Some auto reviewers voiced their support for Wei, saying he's one of the few in the industry willing to speak the truth and expose the fake prosperity.
Honestly, right now in the car industry, only Wei Jianjun dares to speak the truth. He said we're already seeing an Evergrande moment in the auto sector. Some people think he's exaggerating, but let's take a closer look at what Evergrande did before it collapsed. First, it relied on high leverage and rising debt while its cash flow kept worsening. Second, it blindly expanded into other markets and faked sales data. Third, top executives had suspiciously high salaries and transferred benefits. Fourth, it used promissory notes to pay suppliers, causing those suppliers to run out of money. Fifth, after facing outside scrutiny, it spread the idea that it was too big to fail. Now, after hearing all that, think again about what Wei Jianjun said. The same things are happening in the auto industry. The only difference is that the collapse hasn't happened yet. Wei has always called for fair and orderly competition. He doesn't want to see cost-cutting or low-quality products. He's fighting for the long-term success of China's auto industry, but things haven't gone the way he hoped. The industry is now in total chaos. Many car makers are cutting corners to lower prices, squeezing suppliers to save costs, and faking numbers just to chase sales. Wei definitely knew that speaking out would offend people. He's even getting a lot of criticism online.
Interestingly, in the past few days, Li Yunfei, head of PR at BYD, posted 2 cryptic messages on Weibo, seemingly responding to recent criticism. In the first post, he shared 3 pictures of dogs and wrote, "Dogs can bite people, but people can't bite dogs." In the second post, he shared a movie poster for Candle in the Tomb and an image of Zhonghui, the demon slayer. He simply wrote, "Candle in the Tomb." Although these posts were vague, they quickly drew attention and even made it to the trending list. Some people online speculated that Li was calling Wei Jianjun's remarks nothing more than barking, and that his posts seemed to confirm he felt personally targeted, a classic case of a guilty conscience needing no accuser. Wei Jianjun's comments shook the Hong Kong stock market. On May 26, auto stocks plunged across the board. Geely dropped 9%, BYD fell 8.9%, Leapmotor lost 8.8%, and Great Wall Motors saw a 5.2% drop. This shows that Wei's warning about the auto industry bubble has hit a nerve. Wei's warning isn't fear-mongering, it's a clear-eyed look at an industry bubble. The booming EV market in China is full of hidden risks, like a ticking time bomb. Data shows that BYD's revenue in Q1 of 2025 surpassed Tesla, with a record net profit of 9.15 billion yuan. Geely and Great Wall also reported profits. Most major car makers have debt ratios between 60% and 80%, with only one exceeding 90%, but still not in default. The auto industry's interest-bearing debt is below 20%, much better than the real estate sector. But do these numbers tell the full story? A closer look reveals several issues. First, many of these figures exclude the real cost of overseas expansion, building factories abroad and pushing Chinese brands to foreign markets. These large, high-risk investments are often kept off balance sheets. What's more concerning is the quality of profits. According to Tsinghua University's Auto Research Institute, the average gross margin for China's EVs is under 10%. In contrast, Toyota maintains a steady margin of 20%, and Tesla's is over 25%. That means Chinese car makers are gambling everything just to stay in the game. BYD's 9.1 billion yuan profit in Q1 was achieved by squeezing suppliers, taking subsidies, and aggressively pushing exports. But that raises serious questions. How can they keep pressuring suppliers? How many more years can they rely on subsidies? And how long can exports keep growing? Domestically, the race to cut prices, chase subsidies, and secure funding is still going strong. But overseas, the situation is worsening. In countries like Thailand, Brazil, and Hungary, Chinese automakers are already facing setbacks. This shows how vulnerable the industry is to geopolitical shifts and changes in foreign subsidy policies. And those shifts are already happening. In 2024, the EU launched an anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese electric vehicles. Germany, France, and Italy jointly pushed for new tariffs. The US raised tariffs on Chinese EVs to over 100%. India outright banned the import of Chinese-made cars. According to the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers, China exported over 6 million EVs in 2024, but more than 35 were low-profit, low-spec platform vehicles. Around 60% of export markets offered zero tariffs and high subsidies. At the Munich Auto Show, BYD slashed the price of its Han EV by 20%, cutting profits in half. Some foreign customers were stunned. They had bought the car for 150,000 yuan, and just 6 months later, it was only worth 100,000. Now that Europe and the US are cracking down on Chinese EVs, export markets are closing, subsidies are tightening, and financial capital is pulling out. The overseas dream for companies like BYD is collapsing. China's golden age for car manufacturing is coming to an end. This is the absurd reality behind what Jianjun calls zero-kilometer used cars. He sees through the illusion behind the hype and says clearly that the healthy development of electric vehicles cannot be controlled by capital. He points out that no business can survive without profit. This is a path China has already gone down. Internet companies, real estate, education, cosmetic medicine all boomed with capital, drew everyone in, and eventually crashed, leaving nothing but chaos. Now, the auto industry is repeating the same mistake. To win market share, carmakers are slashing prices, which has squeezed suppliers to the limit. Some suppliers wait over a year to get paid. Others are told to cut prices by 30% or lose the contract. To survive, some cut corners. Wei Jianjun said that dropping a car's price from 220,000 yuan to 120,000 yuan and still claiming it meets quality standards is just cheating the customer. People think they got a good deal, but they might end up with downgraded vehicles, missing airbags, low-quality batteries, and hidden safety risks. Everyone in the game knows the risks they're hiding. BYD and Geely look successful because they moved early, but their model relies on squeezing the supply chain and making money through exports. But how long can that last? The rise of China's new energy vehicle industry is built largely on huge government subsidies. In 2022 alone, China gave out 92.4 billion yuan in EV purchase subsidies. With tax breaks, infrastructure support, and local incentives, the total reached nearly 500 billion yuan, about 20% of China's 2022 education budget. That means every EV is backed by public money. But on January 1st, 2023, China officially ended national EV subsidies. In 2024, local governments began canceling or cutting tax breaks, registration perks, and road access benefits. The speed of this policy retreat caught car makers off guard. By Q1 of 2024, their R&D spending was down across the board. Automakers began layoffs. Cutting features became standard. The supply chain kept shrinking. Many supporting businesses quietly shut down. Since 2023, over 400 companies in the EV supply chain have gone bankrupt or been deregistered. More than 70 of them were parts suppliers. Without subsidies, the ecosystem collapses. Without the ecosystem, carmakers become empty shells. Today, they still hold on through bank loans and asset-backed financing. But once the cash flow breaks, the next bubble is about to burst. BYD has shown strong ambition in recent years. Since October 2021, it has acquired over 1.4 million square meters of industrial land in the Shenzhen Cooperation Zone. That site is expected to generate over 200 billion yuan in annual output and become a key EV production base in southern China. BYD has also built multiple factories in Dongguan, extending the EV supply chain into Xiegang, a major industrial area. To stay ahead as the world's largest EV maker, BYD must use scale to compete with Tesla and other domestic rivals. Its 2024 sales exceeded 3 million vehicles, and it has even bigger goals for 2025. But high debt, supplier strain, trade barriers, and low profit margins all serious risks, echoing Wei Jianjun's warning about a collapse in the auto sector. BYD is reportedly carrying 600 billion yuan in debt, with a 75% debt ratio. It owes suppliers 240 billion yuan, and has over 4 billion yuan in loans and supply chain financing. It takes 18 to 12 months to pay them, far longer than Tesla's 3-month cycle. While these figures aren't officially confirmed, they show how worried the market is about BYD's high leverage and supplier pressure. Its massive investments in Shenzhen have added even more strain on its finances. On one hand, it's building factories while sitting on over 75% debt. On the other hand, its financial reports say cash flow can only last 6 months, basically begging the market for funding. They're borrowing to survive. Today, BYD is the leader in EVs. As of 2024, auto loans have topped 3 trillion yuan, and EV-related financial products exceed 200 billion yuan. But most firms have less than 3 months of cash on hand. If sales drop even slightly, the collapse will be fast. Falling sales lead to shrinking revenue and rising inventory. Cash dries up, suppliers demand payments, banks pull funding. Credit ratings fall, stock prices crash, investors flee. One broken link, and the whole system collapses. This isn't alarmism. BYD's business model is cannibalizing itself, selling at low prices to gain market share, which eventually destroys industry profit margins. In the end, every car maker will be affected.